Hey, folks, this is Rob Potter, and most of you recognize my wonderful friend, Dr. Raymond Andrew Keller. How are you doing today, Cos?
Fine, Rob. Everything is very nice here in West Virginia. It's about 50 degrees. We got respite from the harsh winter conditions of the previous week.
That's wonderful. Folks, a lot of changes going on the planet, and this isn't really be a political show, but I can tell you, Louis Martens called me this morning, and he says this next year is a very important year. There's going to be a lot of things taking place. Next year is called the year of the apocalypse, which is also in Greek means revelation. In other words, the truth is going to come out to the people. And unfortunately, or fortunately, it's going to be difficult, but it's important that mankind understand the hidden hand behind the scenes, as our friends the Venusians so slyly call the intruders or interlopers. Or even in one of the first messages, that she had given, she said, "Your planet." Through subtle alien intervention, has achieved a technological level far beyond its spiritual maturity. And this, of course, is one of the reasons that we're brought here. And we're so fortunate, ladies and gentlemen. Do you realize Raymond Keller in 2018 had only, or 2015 had only three books? And now he has seven, actually, if you count the Gospel of Thomas, eight books in the can. And this next book uh, is going to be number nine. And this book is about Sister Thedra and George Adamski. And before we get there, real quick, I just want to remind you folks about the website and the conference that we're having. And where I'm going to announce and show here real quick that we are actually going to have Omnek. So check this out. So to those of you who haven't seen or been checking if you signed up, check your emails in the spam or whatever. I sent a lot of emails with a lot of different information. A lot of posts have been put up lately. So this is a woman born on Venus in the fifth dimension. She lowered her vibration, cosmic ray, and her good, confident and friend down here, Anya Schaefer, who lived with Anya or lived with Omnek and supported her for many years in Germany, where the primary mission of Omnek was. So this will be the third time that she's coming. And we have a lot of other great people, Sasha Stone, Ismail Perez, and a lot of great speakers are going to be coming and presenting, some not even up here. But another thing I'm really excited about, I would like everyone to check out is this cruise I'm going on. Jason Shirka, we got, Maureen St. Germain, Brad Olson, Vivian Chavez, Graham Hancock, um, Brad Olson, and some other people here coming up.
Oh,
So I'm just going to mute him. And he told me this
oh,
might.
hi, April. How are you?
So I'm going to just let you
Oh,
see
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
that in mind. So I'm going to just give him a quick mute here. So um, this is going to be a great cruise. We're going to out of Los Angeles, doing presentations all the way down and all the way back. And you get to spend a lot of quality personal time with the speakers. If you go with two people, it's a little cheaper. If you sign up under my website, you get a 1 hour healing session, and by signing up under me, and if you also get a free ticket to my summer conference. So if you have the abilities to get a ticket on this cruise and sign up using my name, it's going to be a great trip. I've never been to Mazatlan or Puerto Vallarta. I've been to Cabo San Lucas and other places down there, but it's going to be a fun trip. So I wanted to check in with you guys and uh, let you know that I'm hoping to get a series of live podcasts. Raymond and I are going to be working with Nick Avalier of Good Lion TV, and he's got a whole series of articles. And he's going to be doing some interviews with us, and we're going to be doing some live questions and answers. And I'm going to try and learn how to do that. But I think it's time that we get the audience listening and watching, and to answer some questions. So we're going to get started today, folks, on Raymond's presentation, and I think we're going to do 2 half-hour shows here, and we're going to let you learn a little bit about Sister Thedra. Now, Sister Thedra's real name was Dorothy Martin. She was a profound spiritualist, psychic medium, very sensitive. And we spoke about her a little bit in with Frank Chile. She was in Mt Shasta, and I knew about her in the late 70s and early 80s. And she was very intimately associated with George Hunt Williamson, the person who actually found the location where George Adamski got out of the car and walked a mile to have an experience with the Venusian scout ship, which was a lot of history on the first contact, modern day, of open contact. So Sister Thedra was derived. She was part of the IM group, or of the Saint Germain Society, which had kind of devolved a little bit into a cult, and they denied her experiences. But she's very famous in Mount Shasta, and the cloud ships would peer above her house all the time when people were visiting. So we're going to hear the true history here, and I'm just going to let Raymond Keller take over, and I may or may not ask questions. So Kaz, take it away on Sister Thedra.
Thank you, Rob. It's a pleasure to be here and to discuss Dorothy Martin and the great work that she had done, later known as Sister Thedra. What I have in my hand here is her initial. This is her initial activation into esoteric subjects and the spiritual aspects of flying saucers. This was an encounter of a UFO over Oak Park, Chicago, where she lived, on August the 18th of 1952. And she described 4 lights, 3 in a triangular formation, and then 1 that was moving in and out of it toward the top. And she describes it here. But this is what got her started. And not too long after that experience and her UFO encounter, she began receiving information from various extraterrestrials in the form of revelations pertaining to the end of the world. And these were actually warnings. These were apocalyptic warnings for the people of Earth to change their ways. And that she may have been looking at an ultra-dimensional Earth, or like another timeline of Earth. But what I did, I have all of them, all of Dorothy Martin's revelations in her own typewriter, a royal typewriter. And so you see that they're kind of faded and a little hard to read, but I was able to do that. Fortunately, she dated all of them, so I put them all in a chronological order, and I'm working with her information as well as missing information that I've been able to acquire regarding George Adamski and his trips to Europe, his second trip to Europe, primarily to Belgium and Denmark, and also Dr. Frankie Strange's. So this is all pertaining to the spiritual aspects of flying saucers and the prophets of a new age. And well, let me just say a few things here about Dorothy Martin. She referred to the space people collectively as the space guardians. And uh, she, having attained a deeper understanding that our planet is being visited by advanced intelligences from other planets in our solar system and beyond, she was imparting this information at a time when people thought she was crazy. Um, and most most people at the time, as far as UFOs were concerned, were only looking at anomalous lights and objects in the sky. But she was coming out in April of 1954, no less, talking about the arrival of extraterrestrials and interdimensional beings here on our planet Earth, arriving in interplanetary spacecraft and those from the higher dimensions, the materialization and dematerialization of these beings that would appear to her, and then she imparted all of these in the revelations that I've collected, and from various personages, celestial personages in the hierarchy of light. Let me show you a newspaper article that appeared about her after she had been in Chicago. She later moved to Prescott, Arizona in 1955 and began working with Dr. George Hunt Williamson. And if I can find that. And you know, Dr. Williamson was also an associate of George Adamski, and later he went to Peru in search of the Temple of the Seven Rays and had many contacts with extraterrestrials there. This is Dorothy Martin in the Prescott, Arizona Messenger after she moved there. And that's her picture. And it contains very impressive information about her. Because it was in Easter of 1954 that Dorothy Martin was getting ready for church, hoping that the minister would have something worthwhile to say about the resurrection. And this article says that she was very much exercised and concerned about religion, because she was a modern religion, because she was a theosophist. She was a member of the Theosophical Society, as was Adamski, as was Williamson, as I am. I'm a member of it. And she was meditating about the resurrection and about Jesus and the personages in the New Testament, the apostles, and the events that transpired then. And then her pencil formed these words: that there is a light, see it and walk therein. So on that Easter morning, the automatic or inspirational writing began. Mrs. Martin, who now lives at 113 North Granite Street in Prescott, was receiving many messages. So they didn't stop. They didn't stop in Oak Park, Chicago. For the rest of her life, she would receive these messages, and she would write in automatic writing. And she was definitely in contact with many of these extraterrestrials, because she was receiving extraterrestrial words of knowledge in their own language. And then she would interpret these as best she could. And she typed out a list of words that the extraterrestrials used to convey certain information. And then based on the context of what it was they were talking about, she could more or less figure out what they meant. I'll just read a few of them in here so you get an idea. She said, allostopes are rays of the forces of light. Arlene is a recorder. So she considered herself to be the Arlene, or the recorder, the historian, and official stenographer, I guess you could say, for the space people. Avaganda was the word for a spaceship, and from another solar system. And for those that come from Venus and other planets in our own solar system are known as ventlas. Carting is an action, the layout of a plan, an event, a purpose, or a blueprint. Celicoblet is a device for beaming magnetic energy impulses from the teachers. Chanas was the first civilization destroyed by a cataclysm, and was centered around the Black Sea and Turkey. And then we all know about the recent discovery of ruins, even predating Samaria in Turkey. So that's a vindication of that, because that didn't take place until well after these revelations from Sister Thedra. Clarion is the back side of the moon. It's a city on the back side of the moon. A Cretan is an outpost of a planet called Lasolo, and Daringal is the meaning of a word. From beings in another solar system visiting the Confederation of Planets, visiting our own solar system, they refer to the moon as Hestar. And so these go on and on. So what I had to do is provide that index for people so they can understand what they're reading. And for places of maintaining fluency and clarity, I would just take Dorothy Martin's interpretation and find suitable English words to replace them. So this is a beautiful account, and I'll be publishing some of these on the Promise Revealed website, as well as have to thank you, Rob, for running the Adamski series that I'm writing now, and also the many articles about Dr. Frank. So you get a nice preview of what's coming and the kind of research that I'm doing when you go to the website. Hey, Rob, did you have any questions?
Well, cause I'm just unmuting here. That was incredible. And folks, I just like to add a couple notes here. So Sister Thedra was a medium and a psychic. And when we talk about Christ, we can't get around Jesus Christ and space people. So if it's uncomfortable for you, get your uncomfortableness over, because it's part of the reality of the multidimensional universe. And this is not a personality worship. It's not a cult. Another thing I'd like to say is she was just a very sensitive person who was kind of meant to be an Arlene. And, Cosmic Raymond is also a messenger, more like a stenographer and a researcher, as well as a contactee. And I'm more like a circus promoter, and I do have some knowledge and understand things, but my job is to bring people together and to let people know the reality of what's taking place. There's one other thing you said about it kind of slipped my mind here, but I just wanted to give you sometimes I can interject too much, so I just wanted you to continue on, and I'll pop in a little quicker next time or something. Okay.
All right. Well, that's great. And things that I wanted to share is this is from the issue number 15 in 1983 of Timothy Green Beckley's UFO review. The whole thing is about Mount Shasta, the whole issue. It's beautiful. And much of it pertains to Dorothy Martin, and as well as other contactees and people that were illumined ones, enlightened ones that were literally taken up from Mount Shasta, like Annalise Guerin, for example. And then in Dorothy Martin's own words, she describes her encounters and so forth with extraterrestrials and being taken up. There's Mount Shasta in the background and the flying saucer. This is, oh yeah, then there was Arlene Cheney. And then this is also, this is her from the, in her home at Mount Shasta. This is Dorothy Martin. So you could see all her vast collection of books and tapes and everything that she was prolifically engaged in recording this information about the space people. And they would camouflage their ships when they came to Mount Shasta, because they would come in and out of the mountain to the underground city of Telos. And you see one of the cloud ships there.
Yeah, folks, this is pretty standard. I've seen them. I have some photos. One was just hanging above a place where I was working all day, and I knew it was them. I go, "What are you doing here? Are you looking at me?" And I was just like, "I this is years ago, but so people around here get used to it. A lot of people don't understand that. George Hunt Williamson, when he was looking for the Abbey of the Seven Rays, I want to let you guys know that is what they call the interior government, the leftover remnant from after the flood that went inside the earth that we call the Agartha network. And many of them are cloaked in the fifth dimension, as is Telos. So Dorothy Martin came here, and because Mount Shasta underground city, as Raymond's friend, the Queen of Venus, has told me, that it is a cloaked city in the fifth dimension, so we wouldn't see it. So, but that's who lives inside the mountain of Mount Shasta. Is an ancient Lemurian colony originally from Venus. Go ahead, Cos.
I'll take some time here to read some of the revelations and prophecies that are actually coming true now, that were in her original writing. And let me pull this up here and see if I can share that. Let's see. So we go to.
Well, Raymond's getting that together. I can tell you, folks, a lot of pilgrims come to Mount Shasta, California, from all over the world, and many different teachers bring their groups here to bask in the radiant vortex of the area, the beauty of Mount Shasta. And if you go to my Mount Shasta Summer Conference page, it says you're screen sharing, but we don't see anything yet, Cos.
Oh,
so you have to check again. There we go. So
okay.
I'll let you take over.
All right. Okay, this is Dorothy Martin here. She was born in 1900 in Charleston, West Virginia. 2 years later, Lady Colomba was born. And in 1955, she was resident in Prescott, Arizona. So she's a fellow West Virginian like myself. And a little bit about her earlier life. Her automobile accident sometime between the end of the Great Depression and the start of the 50s, she moved to Chicago, Illinois. And we finally catch up with her in May of 1950 when she was in a horrible automobile accident just a few miles outside of her home in Oak Park, neighborhood of Chicago. And as a result of the accident, she was required to stay in a plaster cast for almost 2 years. So she would spend her time reading and studying the Bible and metaphysical subjects that she was very interested in. And when she was alone at night, she began to receive telepathic communication from angelic beings outside the Earth's atmosphere, headquartered on a saucer base on the far side of the moon called Clarion. And she began to write these revelations down and publish them in these small circular newsletters. And she built up a remarkable reputation as a contactee and channeler of the extraterrestrial messages for humankind. And then in 1952, in August of 1952, then there was the Ventla that appeared outside her apartment in Oak Park, Chicago. Jesus himself had appeared to her. No sooner had Dorothy Martin uttered her innermost desire to shed her material body and depart for celestial glory than the form of Jesus the Christ materialized directly in front of her. Jesus told me that he would heal me, that I would be restored to my former self following the automobile accident. In turn, I asked what I could do for him, to which he replied, "You can feed my sheep." And by that, what he meant was to provide the manna of knowledge, of gnosis and understanding, that we aren't alone, that the angels and aliens are really one and the same thing. In fact, that's the going to be the whole message of the conference. The many people coming this summer to Mount Shasta. Then a little bit of the controversy involving George Hunt Williamson and the people that met at her apartment and different things. And then the automatic writing, and then what I did for the revelations part was to just categorize them all in chronological order. And here's the definition of different words used by the ETs and the channeled messages and the automatic writing, poetry that she wrote, and then Revelation recorded 18th of April, 1954. And this is the first one, so I'll read that. I am always with you. The cares of the day cannot touch you. We will teach them that seek and are ready to follow in the light. I will take care of the details. Trust in us. To the lovely loved ones, every single word of the golden script is from my hand. Be patient and learn, for we are there too, preparing the work for you as liaisons from the celestial realms to the earth. This is the work I am engaged in until I return in power. That will be soon. You were directed to tell your experiences of my visitation to you, for it prepares the way in the hearts of those who have ears to truly hear. I will come again to teach each of you. They that have told you that they do not believe shall see us when the time is right. Now is the time to cast out little fishes. Go get my children from North Lake. I will go with you. And these are from, this is on Easter morning from Sananda, who is an earlier manifestation of the Christ, speaking from Clarion.
Wow. So folks, when you hear this in the terms of, the spiritual information that's coming here, it, in my experience, is a very sacred and holy experiences of knowledge. And there's kind of a higher self impression that comes with the realization that we're not alone. And them ministering and sharing the information is really, in a brotherly way, just uplifting mankind to an awakening to help us create a new earth. And there's no other example that's better than the love and the teachings of Christ that will allow mankind to see each other as his brother and sisters. So, when we get into the spiritual stuff in the space Jesus, people get very triggered. And I want you to just put aside your things and, realize there's many, many different teachers, and not everyone holds the entire truth. But there is a plan for Earth, and we do have different teachers. Like we graduate in grades, we have different teachers that come and teach mankind various messages, including Buddha, including Mohammed and Krishna and many other great teachers, Zoroaster, Confucius. There's some great wisdom keepers, and in the Native Americans we can only guess. But I think it's important that we begin to widen our view of religare, which means the Latin word, which means to reunite, just like the word yoga means union. And so if we can get away from the secular aspect of the cultural bias and the ethnocentric view that wants to maintain, like the priests do, that they are the only ones who know the truth and that only their teaching, their teacher, as they interpret it, along with their little rituals that they do, is the only way to God, this is false. God comes to you in your heart. And I think this is a very important aspect of the Venusian message here, is not to reveal the political goings on behind the scene, although these angels are working in concert now at a very high level that's going to bring a great light upon the world. And don't be blinded by the revelation of the truth that's coming. And a lot of it's going to be shaming mankind for his decisions as we realize what's been taking place here. And as we adjust to the frequencies and the love and the outpouring of the Christ that comes and pours out upon all flesh, you can call it the Krishna conscious. I don't care what you call it. You can call it potato soup. But as this Holy Spirit rains down, a great transformation is going to be coming for the people of the earth. And Raymond and I are, like many other light workers and contactees, trying to prepare people in the best way possible to adjust your thinking, to have an open mind, and to not worry so much, and to have faith that the angels are here, and to always be patient and kind. And I'm working on that one as well, folks. So, but a lot of good progress is being made.
Rob, here it's Dorothy was explaining on the definition of a psi. So many of the extraterrestrials had this title or this designation psi in front of their name, like
SAI or SI?
SAI,
Oh, that's okay.
Psi Garika. And that means that entity, Garika, was a spokesperson for the hierarchy of life. Anytime you see that designation in front. And what this represented as these communications continued was a greater integration that was taking place between the consciousness of Dorothy Martin and the extraterrestrial hierarchy of light. And I wanted to share these words from, this is from another Master Jain, a Ganesha or elephantine being of the hierarchy of light, an instructor of the universal laws at the University of Sirius, and recorded by Dorothy Martin on the 24th of April, 1954 at her home in Oak Park, Illinois. It's referred to as the pitting of the windshield prophecy of World War III. And America will start World War III in China, and Russia will retaliate. Remember, this was 1954 that this was given. Jane Tsai, or Tsai Jane, says, we of the hierarchy of light, the faculty of the University of Sirius, have facilitated these tensor beam transmissions to spark your awareness, arriving as electromagnetic impulses to the sensory receptors in the human brain, thereby inducing stimulation of thought and understanding. In this manner, we are trying to improve our contacts with you, that we may accomplish greater work without further delay and confusion, for there is surely much to do. Then Dorothy asks, how shall we begin? Jane, Master Jane says, we shall begin in an orderly manner. Get your tape recorder. A word shall be recorded from us onto the records for all to hear. Tear off a piece of paper and let it fall to the floor. Watch it. It will pick up these impulses that you have been and are now hearing and feeling. We can transmute them into sound. Dorothy says, speaking as the shared consciousness of Jane Tsai and the Sirius Collective, referring to recent damage to her car windshield and other windshields of vehicles in the Chicago area. Is the windshield pitting of our doing? Jane Tsai says no. And then a flash thought came to Dorothy's mind, revealing this. It is from the planet Carcea, the one you know as Jupiter. When a certain indigenous life form leaves the atmosphere of Carcea, so they live in the atmosphere of Jupiter, it is in a liquid form that is much like your liquid gases. When it comes in contact with the analogous gases caused by your atmosphere and the carelessness of your world's people, it causes an element we know as Charel to form. It forms like hail in the atmosphere. Coming closer to the surface, it becomes harder but invisible in most cases. If the scientists of Earth would work on the problem of air pollution as diligently as war preparations, these visiting life forms, in addition to the human beings, would live a longer time. And Dorothy says, what can you tell us about the two major communist countries of China and Russia? And Master Jane says, this is the Ganesha being, yes, America will initiate a war with China, but she will not use atomic bombs there. It will be a conventional war, mostly fought at sea. However, Russia will come to the aid of China when the naval war turns to America's favor, and will launch a first strike against your large industrial centers, as well as Washington, D.C.
Well, so I'd like to interject some things here. So, folks, this is Dorothy Martin sitting in her home, and she's receiving telepathic contact through what are called tensor beams. It's a laser thing that's very accurate, goes right in the vein, and allows the channel or the spiritual receiver who's attuned to have the information directly come through them. Now, this is from Jane, which is an elephantine being. We saw a picture of her in Lady Colomba's Venus Revelations at the council. And I guess Raymond said they come from a moon, I think around Jupiter or Saturn, but he was speaking from Sirius. In the constellation Sirius, there's a university of.
Well, there's it's called the University of Ceres, Cerus.
Oh, Ceres, okay.
It's actually situated beyond our solar system, but it's in the Milky Way galaxy.
Okay.
And it's in a higher octave of light. So it's possible that even when our astronauts finally can leave our solar system, that they might pass right by it and not even see it.
Right. Raymond had mentioned this before to me, folks, and I find it astounding. We look at our 12 planets in our solar system, and they just changed Jupiter to not a planet. But Raymond says, by golly, it's a planet because it has moons. So I would agree with him there. It's okay. Science can muddle around in what their thinking is,
Oh
but
yeah, it was Pluto that
Pluto. Okay.
they said Pluto wasn't a planet. And I don't see how that could possibly be. It does have five moons of its own, the largest Charon. Uh, and both Pluto and Charon do have an atmosphere, albeit a slight one.
So he's mentioned there could be as many as 60 different planets in our solar system that exist in the higher dimension. Our thinking is so shallow, especially those who don't even believe that there's life in the universe, let alone in our solar system. And if you ever want to know about that, you can go to Rockets to Venus and understand about the lies in the silence group, because the game would be over if we knew that they're extraterrestrials, that there's not a authority, but there's a higher awareness of truth and knowledge of people who traverse the stars, and the dumbing down of humanity would not be tolerated. And as mankind achieves his peaceful nature within himself and starts working together outside of a governmental structure based on money and separation and lack, and works together in abundance, regardless of what things are doing, things are going to get better. So this is an amazing story. So there was some pitting of her windshield in some incident, and they said that this was coming from a liquid gas from Jupiter. That was this a natural ejection, or how did that occur?
Oh, yes, these entities were in the vicinity, and their materialization apparently caused the messed up her windshield.
Okay, so she was having a contact, and all of a sudden something happens, and it was an inadvertent side effect of a materialization from another realm of existence. Wow, interesting. I never heard of
There's
that
a
before.
lot of people that have had, meteorite fragments and, little tektites from space that have, hit their windshield or even their house. There was one couple in New Zealand, and a big, uh, like a bowling ball size meteorite smashed their house up.
Wow. That reminds me, I lived in Palm Springs, folks, back in the day, and was going out to Giant Rock, but they used to have some sandstorms out there, and I was living in, we called it Desert Hot Springs, just below Gabriel Green there, about 40 minutes. And when you go across, all of a sudden the winds would start coming and you couldn't see in front of you. And all people would pull on the side of the road, but that thing would just, it's like sandblasting your paint. And so I was just like, oh my God, I just kept going, and I see cars pulling over, and I'd go fast enough that I could stop if someone had just stopped in the middle of the road, and then I'd honk and get them out of the way. And I just kept going. But I did get some pitting in the windshield.
Was that the Santa Anas? Is that what that was?
Yeah, it actually would be the Santa Ana as it blows across the desert. And when the hot winds blow across the desert, it creates positive ion conditions. And that blows that called the positive ion winds. They're known around the world for causing emotional and distortion in the brain. It increases the serotonin output. And you have, they're known as the Chinook, the Shirav, the Hansen, the Witches' Winds, the Fawns in Germany. So these are the result of dust clouds removing the vital life force. And of course, folks, if you have a pyramid on your head, you'll be okay, because pyramid produces a negative ion effect.
Oh yeah, yeah. They have that in West Africa too, the Harmattan winds.
There you go.
I mean, they last for months at a time.
It's considered a mitigating circumstance if you commit a crime in the Middle East. It's called 50, the Hamzin, and that means the number 50, the average number of days that these winds blow. And it's like a full moon. People, their serotonin goes up and they start dancing on graves. There's more accidents, more criminal activity. People become a little more unstable when the body's biochemistry and the electrical frequency of the brain starts not functioning. So there's wonderful aspects of the new sciences that the Galactus will be sharing. So can you read us some more of Dorothy Martin, and then we'll wrap this up and we can start part
Oh,
two.
sure, sure. I'll be happy to. Um, let's see. This is a revelation given by Lady Sarah, a translated Terran in the seventh density and spaceship commander of the hierarchy of light on patrol in the Cretan sector of the Milky Way galaxy, orbiting the only moon of the planet Sirius, a parallel Earth in the solar system of the star you know as Polaris. And this is what Sarah says, that the Earth is slowly drying up, Earth's billions to be fed by the bread of increase. So this is Sarah and this revelation. From the sector of Cretan in the seventh density in the constellation of stars, you call the little bear Ursa Major, and we call Coreus. Another sun center is being formed in and about the Earth. The Earth is slowly drying up, and there will be no physical life as you know it, only that which can exist without a physical gas substance or atmosphere.
Talking about our Earth.
Well, this is either the Earth or this is a warning of a parallel Earth. So she got a lot of criticism, for these doomsday prophecies at the time, but they were more, as I read them and to my understanding, they're more of warnings that these are things that are given as revelation so that we could take action and avoid them. So
Yeah.
the Lady Sarah says some of the space people have been teaching certain individuals on Earth how to live without food or water, to be independent of either substance, or they will either be left to this dry planet or taken where there is no need for food. So this is higher dimension, people being lifted up to a higher dimension.
Yeah, I think that a lot of those things are averted to a certain extent. I mean, everything has its cycle and day, and entire planets become void of life, and then they maybe regenerate again. Who knows?
This is these revelations from Lady Sarah were coming from the campus of the University of Ceres, which is actually on a planet called La Solo, which is in the same system of where Woody Derenberger went to, where the planet Lanulos is. It's about, I think they said it was.
It's near Polaris.
Oh yeah. Oh no, he went to. Yeah, Woody Derenberger went to a place called Lanulos.
Well, let's tell us now that you brought this up. Who's Woody Derenberger?
Oh yeah, well, Woody is another contactee in the 1960s, and he's the one that first met the extraterrestrial known as Indrid Cole, and I write about him extensively in the I think it's in the Sixth Venus book.
What was Inger Cole's? What was his message?
He was talking about working with certain people in the different space agencies of the world, and that they already revealed to them that they exist and shared certain technology of a peaceful nature with them.
Right. So they're not
everything about Woody is in the sixth book. There's like 30 pages all about Woody Derenberger and his story, his family, and all the contacts that he had. But I just want to finish this one revelation from Sister Sarah here. She says, I tell you now that we do eat, but it is a different variety of substance. We have what we call the bread of increase, which is like a snowflake. We eat some of the minerals of the soil, which is in solution and can cause one to become ecstatic when consumed. Does that sound familiar? It has been used or eaten on your earth. Yes, we do. Yes, we do eat the flesh of some animals at times. They are called the bangano. They are about the size of a small earth rabbit, and they have large ears, but similar in configuration to those found on your elephant, only smaller, to conform proportionately to the body, to its body. So this is a lot of information about life on many different planets from Dorothy Martin, and and um, and also planets in higher dimensions as well.
Yeah, Dorothy was an amazing channel, a very psychic, mystical, uh, misunderstood, ridiculed. Um, and yeah, folks, I'm going to be sharing some more of the information from the Venusians that I've kind of kept private, but I wanted to start getting these messages out more in a bulk form. So there's going to be a post that's going to have all the information, and you'll be able to listen to the recorded messages from the Venusians on my website in a post. So if you want to judge for yourself their own answers and questions, um, feel free to do so. All right, cause I don't know. I think I mean, if you want, we could just continue here. Would you like to continue with Dorothy Martin, or did you have another area, something you'd like to talk about, or what do you think?
Oh yeah, I did want to say that as far as messages go, I do have the actual tape recordings made by Charlotte Globe, an associate of Adamski's that ran the UFO Information Center with offices in Wisconsin, Mexico, and California. She followed Adamski in his last months on Earth in 1965, and so I have many of the recordings of him, and I'll be bringing those to the conference if anybody would like to hear them from Adamski's own in Adamski's own voice.
Yeah, folks, I think that this summer conference we're going to do a day before the solstice and the solstice day. We're going to do a little side a celebration. It's not going to be at the big event where we're having our conference. We're going to have a smaller room, and I'm going to announce this, and it'll be uh, maybe a day before. It's going to be a little additional cost, but you know, I do bring in a lot of people into the conference, but Raymond has so much information. I have an hour and a half alone of recordings. That's the voice recorded messages from them. And I think it for those who want to further study into an in-depth information and hearing the previous contactee, George Adamski, and a lot of this information, we should really dedicate more time. In our talks, we can't, we can let people speak for maybe in some cases a couple hours and everything, but people's attention span and to get a full immersion in this, I'm planning to do more smaller events and where people can come in and we can really get more of a community feel amongst the people and give quality information to those who are really ready to listen and to have their questions answered for spiritual gnosis. Let's see, Kaz. Folks, Lady Colomba, Venus Revelations. He has a little section in there where she speaks, and it answers a lot of questions. And I'm going to use this as a little snippet trailer for you. I think I'm going to play this little Lady Colomba snippet where it's in chapter 2. And the first chapter, she kind of tells her story, but in this little thing, we have a person reading it, but she answers a lot of amazing questions. And there's something in here that relates to time and it's a crazy story. We don't have time to go into it. I can't even figure it out. But you know, Raymond from 2015 was talked about in 1957 with Lady Colomba. It's just an amazing story. So I'm going to play for you folks a little bit of the book that was handed to Raymond, and I'm going to share a picture of this woman and the Venusian here. And maybe Raymond, would you want to share her picture from 1902? Is that going to be in the book, or no?
Oh, of
Lady Colomba,
yeah. It's
1920.
her and her sister in a boarding house in New York. Their mother ran a boarding house.
So, folks, I'll give you a quick background here. Lady Colomba is an Earth woman. Some of you who follow me would know this. And it's the book number 4, I think, in our Venus Rising series. And she handed Raymond this book in 2015. I'll show you the images of them. And you'll also see a partial image of Alon, the security chief whom I met, 2,400 years old. But she handed Raymond a book that they wouldn't publish. She gave it to him. He modernized it and fixed it up. And now we have this beautiful polished gem. And it's the one audio book that Raymond has. And I'm going to let you listen to some of her own words. It's really going to be amazing and interesting. She answers a lot of questions and shows her true heart and spirit. So let's play a little bit. And I'm going to probably do a whole show on this one alone. Here you go.
Here's her picture in 1920.
Okay. Yeah.
Right at the end of the great Spanish flu pandemic.
Okay, folks. So here, this is Lady Orda as a young woman.
Oh, this is Lady Colomba on the left.
On the left. So you can see this girl in her previous body in 1902. So
1920.
1920. I'm sorry. She was born in 1902. So here she's 18 years old. And in 1929 or 30, she's headed off to India to meet a woman. So I'm going to play part of her book that no one would listen to, and many people will think are crazy. But this is one of the Red Beret girls. And listen to this wonderful message from Lady Colomba.
Chapter 2, Out of This World. Forton and I watched the surrounding water growing lighter as the spaceship shot up to the surface of the sea. Fortunately, nobody got the bends, no matter how fast the ship might go. This was because
Oh, where did that go? Oh, I'm sorry. So we got to go back here. We got some sort of commercial here.
Yeah, that's the Lady Colomba book is available on audio. It's an audible
These
book.
communications are given by the Queen.
Okay, go ahead, Cos.
And that's the voice of Terry Springs, who is was the weather.
Chapter 2, Out of
CBS
This World.
television in Las Vegas.
Forton and I watched the surrounding water growing lighter as the spaceship shot up to the surface of the sea. Fortunately, nobody got the bends, no matter how fast the ship might go. This was because the force field around the ship also equalized the outer pressure. This force field did accomplish other tasks as well, like keeping the spaceship dry while underwater and preventing it from getting red hot from friction with the atmosphere as it sped into outer space. It also served as a shielding from the ultra-high frequency radiation in the Van Allen belt that surrounds our planet. It protects us from extremes of temperatures and from being pelted by even the smallest of meteorites. Even the most minuscule of these rocks from outer space, moving at terrific velocities, could puncture an unprotected hull. When I asked Forton how spaceships could disappear and reappear, according to the reports of many sightings, he answered, "We do not dematerialize and rematerialize, as some Terrans have conjectured, but we bend light rays by changing our force fields to positive polarities. These do not reflect light, as negative polarities do. This way, we just came through the Earth's positive force field, which is 1,400 miles out, by conforming to its polarities that radiate 1,000 times stronger than cosmic rays. Otherwise, any ordinary kind of shielding would outweigh the object being shielded. and this would be many times over. Vorton continued, another cause for such reports is that we can hover and instantly shoot off at a tremendous acceleration. This takes place so fast that the human eye cannot follow our trail, and yet we feel no tug of gravity inside. If we did, we couldn't stand such accelerations. Thus, we seem to disappear in midair. We can just as suddenly stop on a dime. This makes us appear to rematerialize. Demat and remat are capacities usually associated with dematerialized spirits, being composed as they are of etheric substance. These are sometimes seen when the third eye in the middle of the forehead opens for a moment to give a glimpse into the etheric realms, what your scientists are coming to refer to as Dimension X. Okay, Vorton, I asked timidly. So what is the process and mechanism of bending light rays and changing force fields? I wondered to myself as if I was asking too much. Well now, Vorton replied with some hesitation. We cannot divulge such a deep secret to most Terrans yet. This is because some among you would misuse this information. Such mysteries must wait until humanity as a whole has evolved to a higher level of morality and responsibility. The same goes, I might add, for other secrets we could tell them now, provided we were assured such confidences would not be abused by others less dependable, due to not having yet overcome all the vices inherent in humankind generally. But as long as there is the lust for conquest in Terran hearts, such powers will continue to be withheld. This is for the sake of the peace of the solar system. It isn't that the inhabitants of other planets are afraid of attacks or invasions from earthly spaceships. This is because our civilizations are much farther advanced than yours of Earth in so many ways. We could easily forestall any such attacks, but we do not wish to be faced with the necessity of such drastic action. We try to follow a path of moderation in all things. We do not want to see the Terrans come out second best. The Terrans cannot deceive us by pretending to friendliness, insofar as some of us, at least, can read their minds, and even from a distance. We are striving here for a win-win situation, one where all parties will benefit. Could you explain this further, Vorton? I really need to understand your motivations with regard to Earth. Sure, Annabelle. It will be my privilege. Vorton then explained that the good and evil forces each have their emissaries in human channels, literally on all planes of existence, except for the highest levels at the galactic core, which are all good. The latter do have their outposts of consciousness, however, through telepathy, but do not obsess them as the evil tries to do. The struggle between the dark and light powers is going on all the time, since time immemorial in the souls of humankind. And this has been taking place right up to the farthest reaches of the cosmos. Each person has their own force field, which you know as an aura. The aura emanations are affected by the kind of life each individual chooses to lead, for good or ill. This, of course, is sensed by others, especially the ones you've come to recognize as true sensitives, such as yourself. Auras can actually be seen through certain kinds of glasses. Wow, I chimed in. And speaking of force fields, that is exactly what our airplanes and automobiles ought to be equipped with. This would help prevent accidents through collisions, etc. What a boon that would be. And it would also discourage teenage hot rodders from risking their lives to test each other's courage against being chicken. How I wish you would tell me how you achieve all your scientific wonders, especially your spaceship's motive power. Smiling, Vorton said, "That's a large order," adding, "But I can tell you that our aircraft travel by traction, not friction as yours do. We actually ride on the magnetic lines of solar force, radiating from the sun and swirling all around the planets in the solar vortex. When we reach a planet, we use its force field, with the poles being the points of ingress and outlet for the planetary aura." "Do you think Earthlings will ever discover how to do that too?" I asked. "Even as we speak, your scientists are experimenting with all kinds of fuels. They're trying to find the secret of our spaceship's propulsion. It is really quite simple, but they always look for the difficult solution in their researches. The intermittent wars you Earthlings keep waging, from the family hearth up to international relations on government and trade levels. Every generation proves that they are not yet mature enough to be trusted with such powers yet, but we hope they soon will be." It's good to hear you say that, Vorton. I'm comforted to know that the Venusians still hold out some prospects for us Earthlings. Right now, Annabelle, I think they would probably use such technology to invade other planets for conquest, looting, and colonization. regardless of whether the moon was inhabited or not, or even that one of their rockets might hit some populated area and hurt or even kill countless innocents. Your astronomers have actually seen lights going on and off on the moon. These were some of our domes and cones glowing on and off, usually as our visitors come and go. This is just from the side of the moon facing Earth. The activity on the far side that you can't see from Earth is much busier still. Forton continued, so you see how the Venusians and other Solarians residing on the moon would be concerned about all of this. Not too long ago, your scientists actually shot a rocket to the moon. They did this with the sole purpose of seeing whether its crash on the lunar surface would cause an explosion visible from telescopes here on Earth. Fortunately, it came down in an uninhabited area. Apparently, however, they did not seem to care if the moon was inhabited or not. And when our intelligence services revealed that some military officials wanted to put nuclear warheads on the lunar rockets, can you imagine how our queen and the hierarchy of light reacted to this? We tried to let some of your astronomers know that the moon was inhabited by temporarily intensifying the luminosity of our domes and cones on the side facing your world. One astronomer did take note of these lunar lights and also discovered the bridge we had constructed across the Mare Crisium crater. Unfortunately, all these reports were dismissed or covered up by the same astronomers who downplayed reports of our spaceships in your skies. These were the same astronomers dependent upon government research grants for their continued livelihood, of course. But none of our efforts dissuaded the military strategists in their determination to fire off the rocket. This is what the contactees have been warning us about all along, I said, adding that it seems like their warnings are falling on deaf ears. Yes, Annabelle, their lack of foresight almost resulted in the first interplanetary war of the modern age. But luckily, when we saw that the rocket by chance was aimed at a desolate spot, we allowed it to crash land and explode its charge. Therefore, as long as Terrans show such callous disregard for other lives, we will not allow them to arrive on any celestial body without our permission. By that, I mean the permission of the natives of the inhabited planets in the solar system. As long as Terrans might abuse our hospitality for greedy purposes, we will not allow any rocket to land in any area where it might do some damage. We have ways of diverting or detonating it at almost any point along its trajectory. Vorton explained that Venusian spaceships can hover over military installations on Earth, gathering data, but so high up that their presence cannot be detected, even though those aboard the ships can see down with their finer instruments. Vorton further elaborated, there are other reasons for satellite failures, such as mechanical imperfections, sabotage by spies, etc. We, on the other hand, can study the inner mechanisms of your satellites through our scanners. If we deem it necessary, we can shoot an invisible ray that throws a monkey wrench into the works from a distance. This serves as a warning against going too far with such experiments if used wrongly. Also, to impress upon earthly minds that there are other higher intelligences around watching, like cops on the corner keeping an eye on a gang of juvenile delinquents playing with fireworks to see that they don't get out of hand or see that any of them do not lose a hand in the process. Now that the two strongest nations on Earth are on the brink of committing global suicide through nuclear explosions, either slowly by tests or fast by war, we must be more watchful than ever. Yes, Forton, we have often wondered whether all the spaceships that we call flying saucers are friendly or not, as there have been a few instances of kidnapping or destroying our planes that have been reported. Annabelle, the universe is a really big place, and there are many species patrolling your skies, even from outside the solar system, and not all with the best of intentions. If the spaceships were Venusian or even Solarian, we would merely speed up, which we can do in a flash, to prevent any Terran plane from getting too close to the magnetic force field around our craft. We hoped to discourage pursuit by your jets simply by running away, but Terrans don't take a hint very quickly sometimes. There have been a few air casualties, but only one involved the crash of a plane due to pilot error in climbing too high and too fast while being caught up in the magnetic vortex of a scout ship. His plane became demagnetized and simply broke apart. That was back in 1948, somewhere over your state of Kentucky. Since your scientists exploded a rocket on the moon, we have sent out distress signals to other planets requesting their help in patrolling the Earth's atmosphere. That is why there are so many sightings of spaceships of so many different designs and shapes that have been reported. Annabelle then interjected, I have to tell you, Vorton, that we Earthlings have often heard rumors that various governments have already built saucer-shaped aircraft for experimental purposes. These they keep under wraps for reasons of national security. Top secret restrictions have been imposed on every aspect of these aviation programs. Yet, from what I understand, these prototype aircraft are still run on the old friction method, utilizing various fuels. This includes even those that are lifted and propelled by air vents. So my question to you, Vorton, is how are we going to tell the difference between your spaceships and the ones similarly shaped but of Earth origins? Vorton paused to gauge a suitable response in his mind. Then he answered Annabelle, stating that it is not the shape, but the motive power that is more important for space travel. Our freedom and ease in this field was not possible before we discovered how to apply this solar energy. We can still do things that Terrans cannot do yet, such as levitating our bodies or bending light rays around us to render ourselves invisible. The latter we accomplish simply by pressing a button on our belts or activating a handheld device that we refer to as a nimbus. Our spaceships can ionize the air around them to form smooth-edged clouds that follow their outlines. When this happens, our force fields light up in all the colors of the rainbow. Some of your contactees have photographed some of our scout craft lighting up when they're operational in the vicinity of a mothership, thereby highlighting the strong effects exerted by the magnetic field of these huge carrier vessels upon the smaller ships. Vorton, I and other believers in you and your mission here on Earth use the argument that you have not attacked us during all those years of sightings, even going way back in history and in the Bible times to the flying saucer incidents that nobody can satisfactorily explain, to convince the skeptics of your friendly intentions. This is proving increasingly difficult, however, as many others like retired Marine Corps Major Donald E. Kehoe or British paranormal investigator and journalist Harold T. Wilkins keep portraying you as invaders from outer space. Well, I might add that judging from all the earthly avenues of publicity, which we monitor from our spaceships, whether literary or dramatic along that line, most of the stories show people coming from another planet as being some kind of monsters, bent on aggression when they visit the Earth. To us of other worlds, this is an indication of what some Earthlings would do if the roles were reversed. But whereas we regard every planet as the property of the highest form of intelligence dwelling thereon, to be used for the benefit of the lesser intelligences and lower forms also, Earthlings must learn to mind their own business in every way. On behalf of my fellow Earthlings, Vorton, I should call your attention that lately there's emerged a trend for the better of showing spacemen as being more human and even superhuman. I cheeringly noted that this was a good sign with promise for the future. Vorton remarked that this is because of our efforts in various ways to prepare more Earthlings for the glorious event when we do land en masse, to extend the hand of true friendship and helpfulness, to avoid panic among you from the fear of the unknown, such as Orson Welles' radio broadcast of a Martian invasion in 1938. It sounded so real that many people actually believed it and went into a panic mode. But we are truly working to bring about real and friendly relationships between all the inhabitants of the populated worlds in this solar system. Frankly, Earth is the only planet left that is not yet a member of the Interplanetary Federation.
So there you have it, folks. You just got a special introduction to Lady Colomba Venus Revelations. I'm so grateful that Raymond Keller has been so generous with me with his time, with his knowledge, and allowed me to help share his message. I bet you're going to see some upticks in some sales here, maybe from my website or from Amazon. Folks, if you buy them from my website, Kaz gets a little more money than he does from Amazon on that. We have a few. They sell out pretty quickly. I think we're going into another printing soon. So you saw some images there of the Federation, the meetings. I kind of noticed the Venetians with the larger heads that are more telepathic, more evolved. They kind of look like the cartoon Megamind.
Yeah, they do.
Remember the Megamind, the bad guy?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, folks, that's another installation with the amazing cosmic ray. There's my alarm on the timing. Raymond and I have another meeting at 3:15, so we're going to take a little break here. But I just wanted to encourage you all to research the reality of Dr. Keller's books, and I think maybe we could do this and give little snippets of his various books with tremendous information. I really feel this is really tilling the soil for the great day of contact as people become familiar. And when Raymond's books, you can really be transported, even though they're kind of like history books. He fills them with wonderful advanced metaphysical questions. He'll say a paragraph and you'll go, wait a minute, that must mean this and that must mean that. Really? So you have to look between the lines. He has a lot of humor and images from all places to illustrate and to really paint the colors in the various pictures in there. It's just wonderful, Cause. So I thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing revelations from the next book, which is going to be, you haven't decided the title yet, but it's going to contain information on Dr. Frank Strange's, his life and mission from the 40s with the extraterrestrials, George Adamski, the first contact, who met Lady Orda, Raymond's friend, the Queen of Venus, and who, when Raymond landed on the Earth, claimed to be the uncle of this guy. They landed and the people go, who are you? They floated down in a time travel mishap in book 3, which, my God, I've talked about it. It's just too hard for people to grasp. But they landed, floated, and she goes, what's your name? He goes, I'm Jor-El. And the Queen was rather upset that Raymond had a sense of humor and was revealing that. And the people finally revealed the image that they took of him that's standing right behind you with him behind his shoulder there. You'll notice they're dressed in black because they were in a bilocation signal looking into the past. A lot of stuff to unravel in your head. If you want to hear about timelines and real contactees meeting extraterrestrials and walking and talking amongst them, Raymond Keller's books are an amazing revelation. So I want to help him get this information, these books out. So please, folks, I'm going to be doing a little series here. I'm going to be reading directly from Dr. Frank's communications from Valiant Thor in the near future. And so we're going to have quite a series of stuff. Cause, any parting words for our friends?
Just the words admonition of the Apostle Paul, keep looking up, for thy redemption draweth nigh.
There you go. All right, folks. Thank you so much for coming on again, Cause, and we will see you in a little bit.